Welcome to Chaos Divided, your weekly dose of WholesomeHammer, where we explore the hobby, the game, and the lore of Warhammer 40k. We're your hosts, Nurgle, Snurgle, and BlushingNoiseMarine. This week, we're talking about the fresh, new Dataslate that just dropped today.
Ooh, so fresh, so hot.
So, bear in mind, my knowledge is like Swiss cheese with this new Dataslate. It's like I know little bits and pieces there. So... But,
well, I ain't no goonhammer. I didn't study this thing with intricate details. But there's a lot of spice in there, and there, you know, we started on the pre-show. We were talking a little bit about this. We talked about kind of our own armies and what this will change for us. But I think looking at the whole thing, there's a lot there. But we got to start off with the quote, right?
Yes, and it fits perfectly. Well, that was unexpected. And that was from the last words attributed by Commissar Caiaphas Cain. Did I say it right?
You got it right first time.
Woo-hoo!
There you go. You're going to be speaking fake Latin in no time.
Oh, yeah.
Black Library is going to be hiring you.
Oh. Hi, Black Library.
Yeah, so I guess to get started, what did you think of the Dataslate? How are you feeling coming out of it?
I feel gleeful. I feel like there's like a Papa Nurgle smile stretching across my face.
It looks like Papa Nurgle brewed up a new plague for you. There's some new sickness to spread.
On September the 7th of all days.
Little Zinch.
And on the 7th day, he went, "Blessed be the Nurgle." And we're talking about Death Guard and Nurgle demons both saw their points drop, but of course Death Guard is the biggest winner of them all. I think Votann is up there too, and Tau, but I think out of most of the buffs, I think Death Guard was blessed.
I think Death Guard are the only ones though that got like a new detachment ability, not just like a buff detachment ability.
Yes, not just points decrease either.
Yeah, they got a gift, and I think because really their detachment ability felt weak.
Mm-hmm.
And now it does not feel weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It feels much better because -1 to saves, and then or -1 to weapon skill, ballistic skill. The -1 leadership or +1 leadership, whatever, and -1 OC. That one's gonna be a little harder to play, I think, but still quite potent.
Mm-hmm. And during the pre-show, we talked about when you get to select these abilities, and that's at the table before you play, which is
so it gives you a little bit of tailoring ability, which is very nice. And I think really like, if you're going into a melee army. That -1 to hit is going to be very strong. But also, what did you notice right before we started recording? How many points is a bloat drone these days?
100.
So you got a pretty fast move-in model that you can throw at some shooting units to just absolutely crush how they're. So if you charged a vehicle that has that ability, if they shoot at all, they are -1 to hit. But they're also -1 ballistic skill. So you can take something that hits on 3-ups and push it up to a 5-up. Or something that hits on a 4-up to a 6-up.
Ooh.
That's...
Keep going, Laura.
That's pretty spicy.
You're singing.
Are you going to be whipping out that Death Guard army anytime soon?
I think so. I did say during the pre-show that I didn't even bother looking at the new Death Guard for 10th edition because, when you hear enough people say Death Guard is trash, don't even play Death Guard. They're what was their win rate?
I don't know, like 2% or something.
2%. Okay.
No, it wasn't that bad, but it was rough. I don't think you'd have had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I didn't want to invest my time and energy into that, knowing very well that it was going to change. That was a lot of upset people. I know the Death Guard community was just like, what is this?
Well,
what have you done?
It wasn't just like, oh, this isn't quite right. Like, they got it wrong.
Yes.
And it didn't make sense. It didn't work. And this at least shows, like, points decreases only go so far, but at least changing the detachment rules is at least a bit of an admission of, like, hey, we done goof this.
We're sorry.
Yeah. And, like, here's something fun to play with that at least, like, feels a little nurgly. Like, hey, just your very presence is going to, you know, evoke a problem for your enemy. And, you know, you're not the fastest army in the world, but when you get there, your enemy's not going to be having a good time.
Yeah, and you may not be the fastest, but you know what? Yes, we got all the points wrong. So we're just going to bring them down, and you're going to play more on the table. Like, Poxwalkers are 5 points a model. I've got drawers of Poxwalkers that need to hit the table.
That's cheaper than Cultists.
Yeah.
Cultists are 5.5 models. Or 5 or whatever. It's 55 points for 10. Whatever. Yeah, I can't do that math right now. It's late. But yeah, that makes them cheaper.
Yep, and then Mortarion coming down. I think everybody came down.
It would be nice to see Mortarion on the table, because I think for so much of 9th, he was not in a good spot.
Yeah. Plague Marines came down points, so they went from 20 to 16. Blight Lord Terminators are now 31. Death Shroud are at 125 or 250. Hell Brutes are 140, so they came down 15. And then the Land Raider is 240, so it came down 10 points.
That's cheaper than everyone else's Land Raider.
Mm-hmm. It's a special Land Raider.
I'd say.
So people are looking at their list, and they're seeing at least up to like 350 points decrease.
Which
That's
is a
big
lot.
chunk. That is another Mortarion, if you could.
That's a bonus Mortarion.
Yeah.
So no, I'm happy to see Death Guard should be a vibrant part of the meta, because they are an interesting. They're slow. They're methodical. They're a hard army to pilot because of that, because being slow is challenging. And they should be able to, rock some socks when they finally get there.
Yeah, and come in hordes. I don't see Death Guard as like an elite type of army. I see them like mass amounts taking over the table.
Great Unclean One with Death Guard. Does that sound?
You can bring 2 if you want, because Great Unclean Ones came down in points, going from 280 to 250, baby.
Very nice.
Yes.
How do you feel about Nurgle Demons?
I love that the points came down, 100%. I kind of wish that we could have got like a couple more abilities. Maybe I would have loved to have seen the Beast of Nurgle come down like a little bit more. They went from 75 to 70, which is fine. It's okay. I know that they're super annoying to have on the table, but it's super annoying to spend 75, 70 points on a Beast of Nurgle.
I think the challenge with Beast of Nurgle is that some armies can't deal with them.
Yeah.
Like, there's armies that either have to deploy like way too much to kill one, and then there's armies that look at them funny and they disintegrate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the times where also during interactions, it's like, is it worth trying to punch a Beast of Nurgle? No, let's just move on from this. And so Nurglings also came down 5 points, so a squad of 3 went from 40 to 35, so that's beautiful. What was the math that we did? 6 by 9,
Nurglings.
Which is very nice. Yeah, 54. It was like roughly 600. Was it 600 on the dot, or
630?
630. So
yeah,
you can see max Nurglings on the table. Plague Bearers came down from 145 to 125, which is obviously I would always want lower points, but I think that's very appropriate. Pox came down in points, 10 points, which is also very nice.
Who made it through unscathed? Who's your cavalry based friends that didn't?
Oh, nice hint there to.
Trying to guide you there.
The blood crushers, not even looked at. I think yes, their devastating wounds ability with their leader. We can get into that in a little bit. Got the nerf, but still doing mortals on that charge. If you do not know, blood crushers, when they charge, you count for each model in that unit. They roll a die. On each 4-up is D3 mortal wounds. Spicy. In the charge phase too. So get that into your Necrons that like to reanimate. And with blood crushers, you want to multi-charge with them. So you finish off one with the mortal wounds, and then you just deal the damage into your fight phase. So yes, they got unscathed. Same with Fleshhounds, which is really cool. The skull cannons also came down in points, which was my shocker of all of it.
They're very good.
Yes, I accept the Bellacore going up 25 points. I accept Shalaxi going up 50 points. I accept Bloodthirsters going up 20. And I think Lord Change is 20, 30 points. But the Skull Cannons coming down, I think, was it 10 points? 15 points around there? That's huge because the Skull Cannons do Battle Shock really well. They just have to hit you and they force a Battle Shock test. And now that you have these, that Insane Bravery has changed as well. And so I think you're going to see multiple Skull Cannons in Chaos Undivided lists for sure.
Well, and I've seen you use them just as like back objective holders as well.
Yes. And you know what? They always survive the entire game because everyone is focused on the big guys and they don't look after the skull cannons. But the way you play them is you make sure that, say, if you have like a fast moving unit, say I've played with the Seekers move up onto the objective, they tap it, and then the skull cannons shoot whatever unit is on that objective to make sure that they're battle shocks. I'll shoot with one. Okay, that didn't get battle shocked. I'll try with the next one. Most likely they'll get battle shocked, and then the Seekers can hold the objective because they're now OC 0, and that helps with secondary play, objective play, stuff like that. So if you can battle shock a unit to be OC 0, super powerful. Or I've played it where I know that you like to dump a bunch of strats into your Lucius bomb.
What? Who? My boy.
I'm
my
talking
lad.
to you, the actual you. So during our charity stream, and I saw that Lucius bomb come closer, hiding behind the forge feet, or the land raider, and I knew I needed to strike it. So the first time didn't work, and then the second time
does not deserve this hate. Lucius did nothing wrong.
It's not hate, it's just Nurgle's love, or I guess Khorne's love.
Khorne's pretty full of hate there. Let's credit where credit's due.
Nah, he loves his skulls.
How do you feel about Shalaxi?
Shalaxi going up 50 points. It's I know that it's fair because I think it's justified. Powerful, but when a model is encroaching on 500 points, I'm not a big fan of that.
It's a lot. You know what, though? I would say for a 450-point model, Shalaxi is probably deserving of that.
Yes, yeah.
Like, if you think of, like, Shalaxi rips apart a big knight, and those are 500 points.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Like, when I've played her, she deletes. Like, there's the I think it's her snapping claws where it's her extra attacks. I don't use them because I don't need to. Her spear just goes straight through them, and then it's like, oh, okay, on to the next thing.
You want to hear the saddest thing? I played a game into Custodes.
Yeah.
And Shalaxi attacked Trajan.
Yeah.
And Trajan made all of his saves. Every single one. Every single forum. And Trajan did not die to Shalaxi. And I'm so sad.
Oh my goodness. So she
all it would have taken is one.
Lifted him up on this spear, and he just removed himself.
He just like slides himself off and then stabbed her in the face.
Did he kill her?
He not that first turn, no, but he did eventually kill her.
Wow.
Yeah. And then died to Lucius. And she died to Lucius's mortal wounds from when he killed Lucius, then died, and then Lucius comes back with full wounds. So that's fun.
You take this giant greater demon versus this little tiny pewter model. Who's gonna
Trajan's standing there
it?
with like Shalaxi's like skull on like one side, and then just like looks over and stabs Lucius in the heart, and then it's just like, wait, why am I now Lucius?
Yeah, that's so thematic. I love that.
But no, I think it's justified. Definitely, she goes from like an auto include to you're it makes it so that you don't just put her in a list because she's destructive.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think the meta is definitely going to shift away from big shooting armies.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see more variety. I think Eldar is going to bring more melee. Mm-hmm. I think Imperial Knights are going to bring more melee. Maybe not right away, but it's going to happen because the changes to towering are huge.
It needs to be discovered. Now, we talk about Shalaxi's point increase being 50, and then obviously I sound like it's a bit much, but it's not Abaddon.
I kind of question how big an increase this is. But it's also under the lens of I thought Abaddon was really undercosted.
Mm-hmm.
But Abaddon's also got hugely nerfed from 9th edition.
Mm-hmm. Yes. From the wound cap to what he can do. Yeah.
Abaddon went from probably one of the toughest models in 9th edition to one of the easiest to kill epic heroes out there. He's tough 5, 4 up Invuln, 2 up armor save. You could put him with Terminators, but you can't give Terminators a feel no pain anymore. Terminator's got a 4 up Invuln, but 3 wounds. So mortal wounds just tore them apart. Mm-hmm. And they're still only tough 5. So Chaos Terminators in 9th edition, you give them -1 to wound. So they actually lost a lot of survivability. So having 15 wounds of Terminators wrapped around Abaddon didn't actually mean as much as you might think it does.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really easy to lift him off the table. He's still a blender. He absolutely rips the squads apart because he is also that sweet spot of like 3 damage attacks, and he can do a lot of them. Because he can reroll a lot of his hits, he's getting critical hits on 5 up. Sustained hits on him is gross for your Dark Pact. And then, he's strength 14. He's wounding almost everything on 3 ups, if not 2 ups. He's got devastating wounds. So he does do a lot of damage. But 310 definitely takes him out of this is an easy inclusion to a do I need Abaddon? Do I want Abaddon? If I'm looking at do I take Abaddon for 310 or do I take Shalaxi for 450? Because I do think you need a beat stick blender still. But, I maybe had a list that had both in them, and I don't think you can run both anymore.
That's super true. Yeah. You're looking at 760 for just 2 models.
And Abaddon needs some kind of bodyguard. And realistically, I had been running him with a Land Raider, so you almost have half of your army dedicated to just having 2 threats on the table.
Did you still run it with a Hellbrute?
So I had recently taken the Hellbrute over. The Hellbrute's now 140 points. 15 points less, which makes it a little more tempting. Wow.
That's actually really tempting for what the Hellbrutes do.
The only struggle I had with them is they're so slow. So they're an aura-based model that only moves 6 inches. It's very hard to keep up with a army.
So you're advancing them a lot, but you're not shooting. They're just there to buff.
Yeah, and then, but if they don't make the charge, you probably also can't be, it's hard to keep within that 6-inch. So you just ended up like, I was either blowing CP to get it to advance and charge to go along with it, or it just wasn't doing a lot and getting stuck.
Yeah.
Because if you roll a 1 on the charge, and so it moves 7 inches, and then I would say using a Land Raider to get 13 inches of movement out of another squad, like that Hellbrute's not keeping up. Because if that, whatever squad's in the Land Raider needs to also make an 8-inch charge, like, no, it's not happening.
So by the sounds of it, like, Chaos Space Marines got pretty neutral changes. Demons got pretty neutral.
No, actually, everything else went down. A lot of common things. So Terminators didn't go down. Havocs didn't go down. The Demon Princes didn't go down. But, like, a lot of the characters didn't change. But Warp Talons and Raptors went down actually fairly significantly, which makes them a little interesting. I'm pretty sure Obliterators went up because they were redonkulous. But Raptors are now 90 points for 5 of them. Warp Talons, 5 models, 100 points. Wow. That's very interesting. Yeah. Venom Crawlers are down to 120. That's also quite interesting because they were 140, which was a little like... It's a little expensive for how fragile they were, but they're quite fast. Rhinos down to 75 points.
Chump change.
It really is. To have something that can drop off a squad and then just sit on an objective, it's great. Yeah, his vehicles can now do secondaries.
Can they really?
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So like,
there's no restrictions. Except for aircraft.
Who cares if a Rhino doesn't shoot?
Yeah.
And for those of you at home that maybe have realized this already, Chaos Rhino's got firing deck, so you can put Noise Marines in them, so you can shoot 2 Blastmasters out of a Rhino that has the mark of Nurgle, so you get sustained hits on a Blastmaster on 5 up.
Ooh.
So that's 6 shots. Hitting on 4s if you've moved, but exploding 5s and 6s. Strength 9. It's -2 or -3 and 3 damage each.
That's great.
That rips through some stuff. So
absolutely
pretty tasty. And then they're just in a Rhino, so who cares?
But I think we should probably touch on some of the other major changes not involving the factions, and that's towering, devastating wounds, insane bravery.
How do you feel about the change to devastating wounds?
Obviously losing mortal wounds is really sad to see. I honestly didn't like the interaction though when I played with devastating wounds. I didn't like saying like, well, now you have to save this, but then there's mortal wounds as well. So there's it was kind of clunky in a sense.
It made it really hard to play like infantry armies, or just any type of like smaller units, because it just took one devastating wound, 12 mortal wounds from a devastating wound weapon. And you're like, oh, actually, goodbye.
Yeah, it was too powerful, and we all saw it with the Wraith Knights.
So I like that it makes it more like,
it's just
hey, this makes you really good at killing the thing you were supposed to be good at killing. Like, hey, you rolled a 6. Your opponent doesn't get a save. The railgun shoots the big thing and it dies. That makes sense. Whereas it's like the railgun like pings and ricochets off of 15 guardsmen does not make any sense. So I like it overall. I think Devastating Wounds always felt a little wonky.
That's about
Yeah.
100%.
So I think it makes more sense. I know it was kind of a way to try and bring the psychic phase back. I feel like that's how it started. And some of the like ignores invul and stuff from 9th. Like railguns have it, like, Wraith Knights had it. So it makes sense to do something like it. It's just, I like that just you don't get a save versus mortal wounds.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change is actually the the changes to stratagems overall.
Mm-hmm.
Making it so that you can't just make any stratagem 0 CP.
Yeah.
You can't just duplicate any stratagem.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, only because I was never affected by that. Demons never had a free CP or anything like that. So I like to hear that no one can do it now.
Well, I mean, if you look at so Imperial Knights used to be able to use their Fight on Death for free
Yes.
multiple times a turn.
Like,
so you'd be like, how do you charge them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you interact with them? Because they're just going to kill your army.
Yeah.
So I think it cleans up a lot of those interactions. Just to sidebar into a different faction, but it's still related to stratagems. They fixed Phantasm. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do share more, Laura. How did they fix it?
Okay. Like, hey, I'm gonna charge a Wraith Knight, a 500 point model, and it just like zoops away from you 8 inches.
But wait, come back, Wraith
You're like,
Knight.
oh, okay. I had a 3-inch charge, but I guess now I have an 11-inch charge, and I will just go like eat Nurgling. I don't know, like.
Yeah. But Laura, we just found out that Tyranids have that now.
Yes, of course they do. I mean, it's super strong. It's a strong ability. Extra movement is always huge,
especially for free. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a strat, it's not technically free. But
well, no. Apparently, Tyranids will get to do it for free. The Leapers.
Oh, that'll be spicy.
Yeah.
And yeah, Insane Bravery. I think the change in Insane Bravery,
yes,
gigantic.
I haven't heard anyone say that's a bad decision. Everyone's been like, yes, that's how it should have been from day one, and it's just going back to what the original Insane Bravery was.
Well, and it also makes Battle Shock relevant again. Like the Insane Bravery that we had just felt like you failed Battle Shock. Here's your 1 CP like tax, and then it's as if Battle Shock doesn't exist. This is like we were saying earlier, like popping Insane Bravery is this matters. This is a pivotal moment. Like this is a clutch play. Like you need this to go off. You don't even want to risk dice here. You're doing it to make sure you score the points. And
best of all, it's once per battle.
Which it should be. It should be a dramatic moment. It's literally called Insane Bravery.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the name.
So true. It's in the name.
Yeah. Changes to ruins, I think, are huge. I kind of like that they didn't include aircraft. So aircraft can still see through stuff.
Which makes sense. They're hovering. They're up there. They can see.
And they'd kind of nerfed aircraft for 10th, so I feel like this gives them a bit of a leg up. And I think giving towering that they just have to tow on to a ruin to see through it, I think is huge. But yeah,
because now we can see them if they tow on to it.
Well, the thing is, you have to be holy within a ruin, but like knights can't really get holy within anything. So this kind of fixes a lot of that awkwardness, and then you don't have to worry as much about like, oh, I'm playing Imperial Knights and there's 35 million guns pointing at me. I ever so slightly misplaced this unit, so I guess they'll just die now.
Can I just pick up my models?
Right. But I think that's definitely gonna clean up a lot of the play. I don't think you're gonna see Wraith Knights as much anymore. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that have bought them that want to keep playing them, but they're definitely not going to be as oofy.
Did you also hear that like Thousand Suns went up as well?
That makes sense. I mean, I've said before, I think the way I play CSM, Thousand Suns struggle with, because I think they very much rely on either controlling the board and just manipulating their opponent, but they need their time and space to make that work. And I think they had a hard time with like fast melee armies. But I know a lot of armies struggle against Thousand Suns, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think they changed Necrons. They changed a lot of the
Yeah.
top performing units in Necrons, but I think Necrons had a lot more depth than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling you're going to still see Necrons doing quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got like a little bit of a pass there.
But
They're
you know
the
who?
true sleeper agents.
It's true. Do you know who didn't get a free pass? Custodes. I have a
What?
feeling Custodes are going to just plummet.
Oh no! What happened to the Custodes?
So, well, one of the biggest things, the changes to devastating wounds. Their 4-up
Mm,
mortal wound, feel no pain, became a whole lot more useless.
right, because there's not gonna be as many mortal wounds out there.
Way fewer. It's going to be like blood crushers, like tank shock. Like it's going to be stratagems and data sheet abilities that are
Well,
going to
I
be your
didn't actually think
primary.
about that so much because, like, yeah, the only mortal wounds that I can really think of, off the top of my head, was through devastating or blood crushers with demons.
Yeah, like the CSM demon prince with wings has a similar like charge ability that
Mm-hmm.
deals more. So it's going to be like stuff like that will still apply, but that's way less. So
Wow.
I was looking at like if you think of like a combi weapon that does like has anti-infantry 4-up with combined with devastating wounds, that just is going to rip apart Custodes now.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I mean, the fix might be that they'll eventually get a 4-up feel no pain, but then that'll throw them in the complete other direction again, and they'll be like unstoppable.
Yeah, that for a feel no pain is devastating.
Or a 5-up feel no pain or something. But combined with smaller squad sizes, huge points increases.
Mm-hmm.
I think Custodes really got taken down.
How did you like Space Marines or the Imperium do?
I think Deathwatch had some changes to their stratagems. There's a whole thing about bolt weapons. I don't know how Deathwatch works well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't even think Death Watch players know how Death Watch works.
um, yeah, I think overall they got off mostly unscathed. The Nerf gun rocket launcher dudes got
Mm-hmm.
limited to squads of 5s. Just indirect fire is still super strong. And I don't think there's a way to fix it without breaking a bunch of armies that rely on it, like Guard.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to limit that at least, so you can't have like giant squads of it.
Yeah.
Space Marines I think made it out okay. Gene Stealer cults got a pretty big nerf.
Mm-hmm.
They're not infinite anymore.
Which is good.
I don't know who ever thought infinite armies were a good idea, but they're not.
I wouldn't mind it, but if I can have infinite Nurglings, I'm down with
Yeah, but
that.
even you were talking about, Psychic Awakening Nurgling. You still have to roll a 5-up to get them.
True. Very true.
Yeah, you weren't even rolling dice. You were just like, oh, Gene Stealer cult's just infinite. Literally, you cannot kill them. They keep coming back. So, at the very least now, it's, potentially as bad as a 5-up. That when you kill something, it'll actually die.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The other winner to the core changes is Overwatch. At least I think
it
that's
depends
a win.
on which side of it you're
I
on.
guess so. Yeah, I just thought I was like,
it's a win.
I think it's a fair win.
I have used Overwatch maybe once or twice this edition because I have an army that's terrible at it. So it's definitely like the changes to Overwatch are cool, but it definitely like over advantages some factions over others, and I do like the limitations on it now.
Mm-hmm. The fact that Titanic can't use them, and you have to see them.
Well, that just shuts out. Yeah, what was that? I listened to the MetaWatch video, and they were just like, "Yeah, the intention was never like for Overwatch to be used with like basilisks shooting from like." A mile away and just like guessing exactly where our soldiers were going to be standing. And I was like, that checks out.
So what were your intentions then?
It was supposed to be like, what did they say? Like if you're in the heat of battle, like, you see a squad running at you and it's a snap. Like, yeah, it's all like, oh, like, let's do something about this. Like, I and then like hope something hits.
Nurgle.
Instead of the like, yeah, instead of the like, those Space Marines are running at us. Let me just order an artillery strike, like
yeah, yeah,
that will hit immediately, like
and success.
yeah. So, well, because I think like even with a guard, if things didn't move, they had lethal hits. So like you'd have if you rolled any sixes, then they were automatic wounds. Yeah,
awesome, love it.
We kind of talked about knights a bit. They definitely lost a lot of their scariest things. Changing it so that the big knights don't get the bondsman abilities is huge. Huge. Big stompy stupid knights won't be hitting on 2-ups. Ugh.
Rerolling those ones?
They might actually miss a hit. They might actually fail to get an attack to a wound. Can you imagine? Can you imagine an Imperial Knight not wounding with 100% of their shots? What a world we live in now.
So glorious.
Now, talking about a winner. Winner, chicken dinner. Leagues of Votann.
Yes. Congratulations.
I feel like this is a bit of a just like we're throwing the kitchen sink at them because like Leagues of Votann are an awkward, like, they're one part Space Marine because they have like power armor and stuff, but then they're also like guard Tau. They're like they hit on 4-ups, so they're super swingy, and there's a little bit of a like, hey, why don't we just throw enough judgment tokens around that your army will be hitting on 3-ups, but they won't actually be hitting on 3-ups, but they're going to be hitting on 3-ups because we can't figure out a way to balance this faction.
Yeah.
So it's a little, yeah. Where I feel like Death Guard, they went like, oh, let's rethink this. Let's actually add some flavor. Let's add some fun play. I feel like Votann, they're just like, more. What if it was just more? And then there's more models, and there's more detachment ability, and just more, and eventually they'll win a game.
I'm just picturing the scene from Men in Black with the alien about the sugar water, and he goes, more. More sugar.
More Space Wars.
Just more. Yeah, like a couple Votann players, or not a couple, but like at least one, he said that his 2K point list came down 440 points.
Well, there's probably people out there that can't actually field the 2,000 point army anymore.
No, I'm actually doing a commission job for Votann, 2,000 points, and he messaged me today. So he's like, so they came down to like 1760, so I need to buy more Votann, but I can't afford that right now. So I'm probably gonna wait till the codex comes out.
Oh my god.
So he's like, I'm gonna stick around with 1,500 points. I think I'm good for that with that for now.
So yeah, it's a little unfortunate. Like Death Guard and Tau were probably also. There's definitely some players out there that were like, oh yeah, I have enough to feel. Well, I bought that guard army. It's not 2,000 points anymore. I don't have 2,000 points for the guard anymore.
His guard come down?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of. Whoa! So maybe you'll see guard. So we kind of said this during the pre-show, but I'm really excited to see the next couple weeks and months of games, because you're gonna see people start to bring out their armies and play around and see what's there. I think you can kind of feel the shift in the meta, I guess you could say, from, oh, you have to auto take Eldar Knights just to even play, now to like, you know what, I'm gonna kind of have a look around to see what this the Taus. Oh, Riptide's down how many points? Well, that's kind of cool. Oh, Death Guard, you got a new thing going on? Hey, baby, how you doing?
I think I like to play like a very armored, like Castle-y Tau. And I think, I don't know if it's going to be great, but I think it's at least viable now. Like, I think you can actually play a game with it. Longstrike's only 140 points now. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a 30% or 30-point decrease. Sky Rays are basically strength 14 las guns is what is mounted. Three las guns mounted on the top of them.
Mm-hmm.
That are -3 d6 damage. Like, they're
Damn.
very potent, and they're 130 points.
Whoa. Back your
Uh,
brakes. What?
Actually, and if we start seeing more like Death Guard-y infantry armies out there, I think any of you Tau players, look at the ion cannon option for a hammerhead. That's going to be spicy. Because you can, with Koyan, you're getting your sustained hits. You're getting a lot of shots at -2, 3 damage apiece. That rips apart Terminators.
Yeah.
And Hazardous is way less destructive now, so you're not just going to blow it up yourself anymore.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot more play in some of the not just like lone operative stuff in Tau, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, overall, I think this is definitely going to be, it's going to be a huge shakeup. I don't actually know. The only like top end faction I can actually see holding on is Necrons. Because again, I think there's a lot of play. I think Eldar are going to be harder to play. Because a lot, like, Fire Prisms are 170 points now. So doing the, like, 3 Fire Prisms, just controlling half, like, and shooting through them thing at, over 500 points for 3 of them. That's a lot harder to justify now.
For sure.
So, I think Eldar are probably still fine. I think they're still going to be a higher end faction, but I think they're going to be a harder skill cap.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. They should be. Eldar are meant to be a glass cannon. Play them well and win, and play them badly and die.
Well, and it's evidential. How many GTs did we see? And it was all top 7. Is 6 of them are Eldar, and 1 is something else. Like,
how many GTs were top 6 and all 6 were Eldar?
Yeah, exactly.
That means like your last like 2 rounds were probably your top tables were all Eldar against Eldar.
Mm-hmm.
That's how fun for anyone involved.
Not even the ones winning. Like,
no,
I get why you're doing it, because who doesn't want to be at the top? The people that want to be on top, they're gonna be on top because that's easy mode.
No, but all the like Eldar players that love Eldar because they're like space elves.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't ask for this.
Yeah, and then they're the ones coming to the table and be like, this is the only army that I have, and I really like it. Please don't hate me. I win?
So, like, I had 3,000 points of Votann yesterday, but I can't feel that anymore either.
Yeah.
It's only 800 points.
Yeah. But I think the only thing that really does matter in this all, like, yeah, you're going to hear some grumbles from Eldar or Knights. Doesn't matter. They've had their sunny sunshine during the summer, but it's the Death Guard, the Votann, the ones who are at the 20-30% win rate mark. That's who really matters in this.
I want to see everyone that said, I don't want to play 10th edition because my faction got stomped on. Mm-hmm. I'll wait for a Codex maybe see in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to them coming back. I want to see them have some great games. I want to see them have some fun games. And, like, I don't think you need to stomp. I don't think you need to crush your opponents to have great games, but at least be playable.
Yeah.
Like, at least be able to come and see your army do fun things, roll some dice, have a great time. We didn't talk about AdMech. I don't know AdMech well enough to know exactly what the points changes mean, but I know they got a big haircut on it. And I know there was some changes. They got a better armor save. So I'm hoping AdMech is also, like, again, playable.
Yeah.
Because, again, people put a lot of time and love into their army, and they should be able to play it. Mm-hmm. And not just lose turn 2.
Yeah. Or even before going to the table, like what I said in the beginning, like how everyone said they're just unplayable, and I don't even bother looking at the rules. And I'm sure a lot of people probably did the same. They just went online to see how their Death Guard or their Votann were doing. Oh, they're not doing that great? Well, I'm not going to waste my time trying to make it work. Like these experts that know how they work can't even make it work. Why even, how can I do something? But now there's some play in there.
And you know what? Kudos to the folks that were just like owning that like 20-25% win rate.
Yeah.
And were like carrying it out to like prove the point, like respect. You know, Arcs of Omen was pretty terrible for my Emperor's Children list. You know, I think CSM went down to a 30-odd% win rate, and Emperor's Children were even worse off than that as a sub-faction. It sucks to kind of be at the bottom end of things and to know you're not going to really be able to win. So, like, respect for holding out. And, like, you know, we talk a lot about loving the army, loving your lists, loving, like, the lore and the aesthetic, and really beyond like the meta or the competitive scene, like loving the army that you're playing. And, you know, respect to all of the folks that have been on the bottom end of things and just absolutely eating it and still showing up, still playing, still having fun. Like
100%.
You're the MVPs of this data slate.
Yes, you made it through. You sledged through the summer. You made it. It's the first day of school. You're looking great, kid, with your new haircut.
And let's hope it was all enough so that we're not just sitting here being like, oh, actually, Death Guard's still a 25% win rate, because that would be horrible.
We'll be eating our words in a couple weeks.
Ugh, yeah. But no, I think honestly, any shakeup is good. I like every army I've looked at is like, okay, you're gonna have to play it differently, and that's good for the health of the game. You know, we talked a little bit about this last week, like, you know, how do metas get baked in? It's through repetition, it's through understanding, and I think this is enough of a change that lists that worked yesterday don't work as well anymore, and you're gonna have to rethink it, and you're gonna have to be a little more creative and find different combos and find different ways of putting your list together, because realistically, like, it's probably not the most efficient way, and you know, that's exciting, that's good for everything. And you know, Death Guard players, maybe go buy some more models because you probably need them.
Same with Votann people.
And Votann and Admech and Tau. And,
yeah.
Honestly, a lot of armies probably need more models now, which is also fun.
More models, more play, more fun.
Overall, I think this is, I'm hoping, fingers crossed,
yes,
it's a positive change, and fingers crossed,
I think it
gets us closer to where 10th can be.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there that people are like really upset about. I think it's all been like accepted, nodded, and be like, yeah, I think we're there.
I think, like, we've talked about this. The underlying mechanics of 10th, I think, are fairly solid. If you're getting away from some of the top factions, the games were very like cohesive, very back and forth, like good games that build stories, things you can talk about, because it's that you can't predict it from turn 1. You're sitting there turn 4 like, oh, I don't know, like, who's gonna win this. It's like down to the secondary draws, it's down to like the dice. Like, those are those nail biter games that you remember, that you like talk about, you tell stories to other people about, like, oh, this is what happened, and people are like, oh wow, that's ridiculous, that's awesome. Like, I think 10th has a lot of that capability in it, and I think we just need to peel the onion back a bit and, you know, figure out how to get everyone into that space. Because I think that tougher, more objective focused edition is a ton of fun.
Yes.
And Chaos actually, I think Chaos Demons might end up, they were pretty close to the top. I have a feeling
they were getting up there, weren't they?
I think there's a lot of play in Chaos Demons, you know.
There's always a lot of play with Chaos Demons.
Nurgle, Snurgle, major winner. I can see it.
What?
Major?
Major? When am I going to a major?
I don't know.
What
Somebody invite us to a major.
Yeah.
We'll find one.
If you
we'll host one.
If you invite me and pay for everything, I'll come. I'll bring my demons and I'll win.
There we go.
But I come with Laura too.
Ooh, I'm included.
It's like a tumor. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. No, like
not even a mutated tentacle, just a tumor, just an old boring tumor.
No, you want to be a tentacle? You want to be a sucker?
That makes it sound gross. I don't know if I want to be that either.
Be
I don't know if I feel great about that. No.
You want to be my pus ball?
This is getting worse. No. Okay. This is unpleasant. All right. Well,
that was a short one, but I think it was very much well needed that we needed to.
Short one. It was an hour, and there's a 45-minute pre-show that goes along with this. That's the same conversation, but slightly different.
Laura, our last couple of episodes have been over an hour, so
that's true.
This is short for our standards.
There's 2 hours of us talking about the meta changes, the Dataslate changes. I think that shows, though, that we're both excited. I think it's going to be a great future going forward. And with that note, I want to thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to Chaos Divided, both here and on Instagram and YouTube at Chaos Divided 40K, where you can find our 2 pre-shows now. And you can find us on social media at Nurgle_Snurgle and at BlushingNoiseMarine. And until next time, bye-bye.
Ciao for now.